Good morning, everyone. So allow me just to introduce myself. My name is Fatema Haider. I'm very excited to be around great minds, great number of academia. Um, on my behalf, we're more of the practical side. So we're going to dig deeper into how corporates are working. We're the practical guys where we literally get whatever research we get from you and bring it back to life. So this is me. And I do belong to a company called Zain Bahrain. We're a telco provider here in the kingdom. We're actually a group of believers that even our extension goes beyond Bahrain. We belong in 8 countries, 8 footprints, and as a total, we're a community of 8,000 people. Okay, don't worry about it. Now, we'll talk about a very important aspect of what Society 5.0 is, which is the most important asset and element on that, let's say, reformation or concept, which is human. And this is what I'm going to be concentrating on. Now, as an organization, we do believe that an inclusive culture is actually the base of a high-performing organization. Yet, when we say or use the terminology of an inclusive culture can actually differ from one entity or body to another. We all can agree that, right? When I say an inclusive culture, each and every one in this room would think differently of what it means, correct? Now, when it comes to Zain Bahrain, we do have a certain definition that we managed to build on it since the early days. Why? Because we managed to put people in the heart of everything that we do. We all know that technology is disruptive. However, we all know that with the technology, the human element cannot survive if we don't put it at the heart of it. Now, what does an inclusive culture encourages? Or what do we do exactly? What does it bring to us as an organization? Number one, it brings innovation. Okay. We do give the room for people to actually innovate, to make mistakes. The second aspect is the collaboration. As a department, a corporate sustainability department, we're a group of 3 people. But if you're going to ask me, how many people do I work with or how many stakeholders do I have within the organization, I'm going to say across all departments. We do have the sense of collaboration and advocacy. What else does it create? Competition is really important. I'll wear my HR hat just for a bit. We always look for a family-oriented organization. We're a big family. Yes, we are. We sometimes have fights. We sometimes compete. But you know what? For a better and a bigger purpose. Psychological safety. People are allowed to make mistakes within the organization. And for them to do so and feel safe, we need to give them the space for it. And of course, the most important aspect to actually be ourselves and be comfortable with ourselves is the well-being of our people, our organization, not just our organization, but even our partners. Now, we'll go into action and talk about how do we do it in practice, yeah? As a terminology of an inclusive culture, or what does it mean to us as an organization? Here's how we put it. We look at gender equity. We also look at youth advancements. We have WeAble, which is a full-fledged program that caters for accessibility and making sure we are inclusive in terms of our communication and hiring of persons with disability. Be Well, a full-fledged program on the well-being of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual well-being of our employees. IDEU, we've partnered with a university called IE University in Madrid, okay, where we are providing our employees a stackable master's degree on digital transformation, because part of our strategy is to upskill our basically capabilities as individuals across all the departments. And lastly, the platform Zainiac, a platform that caters for corporate entrepreneurship and innovation within the organization. Now we're going to move. Do you need the slide? You can take a picture. You can go ahead, of course. Come again? Okay, great. Okay, so whatever we do internally, it actually impacts our external representation as an organization. So here are some of the streams that we follow in our corporate sustainability strategies. This is not the whole thing. But from a social impact perspective, we look into inclusive diversity, generation youth, which is the advancement of youth, and lastly, having a responsible supply chain. Here are some of the journey. I'm not going to call them accomplishment because I'm a believer that there isn't a destination. It's always a journey. We're always learning, growing, and achieving as we go. When it comes to the gender equity, we do have two types of groups within the organization. We have the engagement resource group, employee resource groups, the people who, let's say, thrive within the culture, make sure that they speak to one another, and we have the business resource groups, a full committee that is chaired by our CEO and a group of our executives to make sure that we are harnessing policies, looking into processes that are not only related to hiring, but even beyond that. We have an ongoing inclusive leadership training for all our employees. We've recently worked on our Women in STEM. We actually launched a program for our women in STEM yesterday on a two-year program not to look into their technical expertise, but actually to look into their self-discovery expertise. They know their domain, but what we need to work on is their discovery aspect. And of course, it's included within our performance management system. Our Zain youth, which are everybody who's under 30, who represents actually, I would say, 50% of our organization, do have a youth council. They're heard. They're part of very niche departments that look into decision-making and actually making a difference within the organization. And of course, we do work on their development and their acquiring, let's say, a work experience. We actually recently wrapped up a very, let's say, heartfelt event or a program that we did with Ahliauniversitybh, which is GROW program, where we actually trained their students with disability on employability skills, and we're trying to enable certain opportunities for them within the professional world. We do have, the pool of talents that we're exploring with the Ahliauniversitybh. So it's not just a training. We are actually looking forward to hire some of them based on their capabilities. And of course, we have the master program, where one of our employee with disability is actually certified to give trainings around the ethics and the etiquette on how to deal with people with disability. We have a full-fledged plan when it comes to our well-being. We do have certified mental health first aiders, a group of employees who anyone can go to speak. And of course, we do grant free therapy sessions for our employees that are not just included in our health insurance, but even beyond that. IDU, as I mentioned, is a master program that we provide our employees with. And the ideation platform, Zainiac, where ideas get to come to life, they get to be funded, and it is actually evaluated by employees within the organization. Okay? When it comes to the journey externally, I'm not going to mention everything because we do a lot, but when it comes to inclusive diversity, we actually highlight three important segments: the elderly, which is a marginalized community. The other aspect is people with disability. And I really like to say that we do have a platform called Natawasal. It's something that we did as a responsible telco provider, is to provide a video call center with an actual sign language interpreter to help out the deaf community within Bahrain. And we started with the health sector, where actually it's not a commercial service. It's actually for them to have their independence, to complete all their inquiries that are related to the governmental kind of inquiries. So we started with the primary healthcare, and we're moving forward to expand our services with other governmental sectors. And of course, women in tech. Generation and youth, we do look into green skills because we need to upskill externally. When it comes to digital literacy is one of the very important, let's say, aspect that we look into as a telco provider. And I've kept Girls for Tech is a program that we did in collaboration with the Supreme Council for Women a few years ago. That we managed to train over 2,000 females, little girls, on STEM, just to make sure that they know that they can. This is what we wanted to achieve. Skills development, and lastly, child online safety, which is with the Society 5.0, it's really important to take precautions with the technologies that are very disruptive. When it comes to operating responsibly, we extend our responsibility and our knowledge in terms of the social impact to our suppliers and vendors. So when we speak to our suppliers, it's not about purchasing, it's not about selling and giving and whatever this operation is. It's actually more than that, where we are introducing a new edge to the conversation in terms of how do you treat your employees? And we assess them on it, and we actually report on it. So as Zain Bahrain and as Zain Group, we have been publishing our sustainability reports for over a decade. And yes, we do have more than sustainability reports, more than 10 sustainability reports, but it did not stay as it is. We grew on our reporting bodies. We managed to actually look into the value creation rather than just the outcome of whatever we do. Now, I'll just leave you with a very interesting statement that I always like to mention. It is not a destination. So when we talk about female representation, because I've heard it across the speeches that we had, female representation is diversity. It's a very small part of what diversity is. It's one of the layers. Yet, it's really important that to achieve such number, you want to exceed quota, you can go ahead, but you need to make it the right way by embedding inclusive thinking within the journey. You can achieve a number, but not necessarily it's going to stay. So make sure that the mindset is there. Yet to do that, as an organization, I mentioned I'm going to be very practical in terms of what we do. Always assess. I mean, the internet is huge, and I can mention few maturity matrices that you can use when it comes to, for example, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Deloitte have a very interesting matrix that you can follow. Put the guides, put the measure, check on yourselves from time to time. If it's not broken, make sure you look into it. I'm not going to say don't fix it, but you need to look into it because things are changing. Things are very disruptive around us. Remember, as much as we need to learn, there are a few things that we need to unlearn as well. It's really important to unlearn some of the things that aren't relevant, actually, to what is happening today. Dr. Ashley, you mentioned something about hybrid model. As much as people are, let's say, some are against, some are with, and I would say it is related to some generational traits, it is still there. And here at Zain Bahrain, we do have a hybrid model. We do give remote working every Wednesday and Thursday. And it's open for all our employees. They need to live their lives, but we need to make sure that we lead by performance, not attendance. Understanding and actioning is a very important aspect of the things that we do. Once we get data is important. I believe Dr. Omar Al-Abeidli can agree on that. It speaks to us. It makes us understand where the pains are, where the strengths are. But it's really important that when we have our data and we measure and get our data, we need to put actions in place. And lastly, and this is something that we like to actually do, we're an organization that likes to have fun. Always celebrate your achievements. Take a moment and celebrate what you're doing. It's not a PR, but make sure you put it out there because, believe it or not, other corporations can learn from it. Thank you.